term that's a little more formal. And that is biogeochemical. All one word, but I broke it up. And I know it's a big sciencey word, but just like all the other ones, we can break it up. What does bio mean? Life. What does geo mean? Earth. Chemical in this case means like molecules. So it's just life molecules that go around the Earth. That's the cycle. But before we get into all that, we're going to tell another little story. We're going to put this in the context of some actual historical people, just like Christina Santos. But this lady lived a little bit earlier. Her name is Clara. Not Clara, Clara. And her last name is Immerwahr. W-A-H-R, I believe. Clara Immerwahr. Super duper famous. We all know what she's famous for, right?
Nope.
No. All right. Yeah, that's fine. Not necessarily a household name these days, but that's okay. I don't know why her left arm is so long. She was a chemist. In fact, she was the first woman in Germany to get her PhD in chemistry. This is back in the day when women didn't often go get higher education. In fact, it was illegal in some places. I don't know. She somehow like schmoozed some people, or I think she was like the daughter of somebody who worked at the university, or like managed, like her uncle was there or something. So she was able to like take classes, and then once she'd been in a lot of classes, they're like, well, you might as well give her credit. And so they gave her credit. So that's kind of how she shoehorned her way in really what is a man's world and a man's profession. She became this professor, because this was back in late 1800s, I think is when she got her degree. I don't remember the exact date, but I do know the date of her marriage. It was 1901. And she met this other chemist guy. I don't know why he's shorter than her, but yeah, they're gonna hold hands. Anyway, they had good chemistry together. There we go. What was that? Oh, you can't see. Oh, he had a little mustache. He's a little German. Actually, that's pretty much exactly what he looked like. His name was Fritz. Doing these old German names. His name was Fritz Haber. Anyway, Clara was like, this is going to be awesome. I'm this cool chemist. I'm going to do some cool science. I'm marrying this cool scientist guy. We're going to be this like famous couple who does science together, like the Curies, right? You've all heard of the Curies, like Marie Curie. She has the Nobel Prize in physics and chemistry. They discovered radium together. They both got cancer from the radium together. Like, it was just this sweet story. She's like, yeah, let's be famous. Let's do lots of chemistry. Unfortunately, she was not particularly respected for her chemistry, and she was kind of like forced to like go home and take care of the baby. That's kind of the baby. And she wasn't super happy about that.
Didn't her husband get most of the credit for a while?
Yeah, you may have watched the Veritasium video on this. I got Derek by him. This was totally my idea first. We'll get there. So, anyway, if you're living in Germany in the early 20th century, there was kind of an important event that happened in 1914. What happened? World War I. Yeah, like Archduke Ferdinand got shot by what's his name, and then so-and-so declared war on so-and-so, and so-and-so, like all these countries declared war on each other, right? And the whole like world went to war. And war isn't super fun for a lot of people because the English and the French, they have guns, and so they shoot your German soldier boys. But the German soldier boys, they have guns, so they shoot more English and French guys. And they have guns, and so they shoot your German guys. And like, so they're dead and they're dead because they're getting shot and they're getting shot and they're getting shot. So war sucks, everyone's dead. Anyway, Fritz at this point is a little bit older. He's not the like grab a gun and go shoot people type person. He's an intellectual. He's an ideas man, right? He's not going to go out there and be a soldier necessarily, but he does want to help his country, Germany, and he's a chemist. And so he's like, whoa, we can do this war thing a whole lot better. Instead of everyone dying, I got a solution. It's going to save a lot of lives. Okay? He's like, instead of us all just shooting each other, what if we just kill all the French and then we don't have any more war and then the war is over? Right? He's like, I know a way to do it. I'm going to use chlorine gas. Yeah, he didn't invent mustard gas, but he did invent chlorine gas.
Isn't that invisible? Like, you can't see
They're both just... one uses chlorine to kill, the other one uses sulfur to kill. But the plan was pretty similar. You load it in shells, you launch the shells over, the shells explode in the French, with the French troops, and then the chlorine gas kills all the French. Germans march in. We won the war. Hooray! No more death. Is that what happened?
No.
What happened? Yeah, the French were like, well, if you're going to use chemical warfare on us, we're going to use chemical warfare on you. And they launched their own back. And plus, the wind just kind of blows it over anyway. So instead of us all just shooting each other, it turned into us shooting each other, and sometimes we gas each other. And it's a horrific way to die. So he kind of just made everything worse. In fact, like, afterward, they kind of banned it by the Geneva Convention, and they're like, this stuff is just so bad. Bad, bad, bad. It's so bad that, like, Hitler didn't use it in war. He just used it on prisoners. Concentration camps. Like, because it was against the Geneva Convention. Anyway, nowadays we'd call him like a war criminal, especially because Fritz personally like went out to the front and like supervised some of these like launching of these like chlorine gas attacks against the Allies. So anyway, the poor Clara here. Well, we'll get to her story later. I'll bury the lead. Yeah, let's talk about like world population for a second. If you make a graph, this is time, this is population. And then you got the world population trucking along. And then And then good old Fritz Haber shows up. Is the world population going up or down? Yeah, he's actually kind of responsible for a lot of people dying. However, aside from a little tiny blip, the world population continues to rise. In fact, if Fritz wasn't alive, there's good evidence that billions of people would not be alive today. So we have about 8.5 billion people on this planet right now. It's estimated that there might have been like 5 or 6 billion alive without him. So there's billions. It doesn't. Well, after the war, he didn't get strung up or executed for his war crimes. He made it through the war, and he continued to do research. And to talk about like what his like benefit to humanity was, we need to talk about nitrogen for a second. So if this is the Earth, I'm gonna draw a tree. There we go. Happy little tree. We'll draw some roots in the tree. Yeah, it's got some roots. Okay, the tree can absorb nitrogen from the Earth. It's in the form of nitrates or nitrites. You don't have to memorize these formulas, by the way. You should be able to recognize them, though. So another one is ammonium or ammonia. That's NH4. There are these like molecules that have a notice how there's a nitrogen in all three of these molecules? Those molecules can get absorbed into the tree. The tree can take them up. Plants have this cool ability to do that. They can absorb those, and they can create amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So they use those amino acids to make all sorts of things, from cells to structural proteins to whatever. But plants absolutely need all of their cellular machinery runs off amino acids, or is built from amino acids. What do animals use amino acids for? Yeah, for food. So we're gonna have like a animal here. I guess it's a cow. Cows don't eat trees, but this one does. Yeah. Sure, we'll make it a moose. There we go. It's a moose from an eyeball. Okay. So usually animals eat plants. They get energy out of the plant, like sugars and things like that. But they also get protein or amino acids. However, they burn up the sugars. We like literally burn the sugars and we use it for energy, and we exhale it in carbon dioxide. What happens to all that extra protein that we get? Where does that go? Yeah, to build up and get bigger, but at some point there are going to be extra protein, extra amino acids. So what does our body do with all that extra nitrogen?
It creates fat, or it stores it.
It doesn't just store it, no. That's for extra energy. We get rid of it. How do we get rid of it? Yeah, two ways. One is having to draw little turds. Fecal matter contains extra protein because we've extracted all the energy. We need some protein, but we don't need as much as we eat. Like even herbivores, even cows and whatnot, extract mostly like energy out of the food, and then the extra protein they don't need gets pooped out as turds. That's why you can use manure, like horse manure and stuff, as fertilizer, because it has extra protein. Also, Yeah. Well, it comes out of mammals, at least, in the form of urea. Yeah, urea is what makes pee yellow. And urea is a molecule that has nitrogen in it. The only reason your pee is yellow is that is your body trying to get rid of nitrogen. It's how it balances the nitrogen levels in your body. You'll notice if you have a really protein-heavy diet or a really protein-heavy meal, like you're eating just tons of meat or something like that, and don't get many vegetables, like your urine will be more yellow afterward because you've got just tons of extra protein your body needs to get rid of. And then the urea can just get converted into nitrates and nitrates. So we have this nice closed loop. Most of the nitrogen gets turned into like fertilizer for trees basically, and then it goes up and it goes around and around and around and around and around and around. Okay? The problem with this is that there's a major source of nitrogen out there in the world. Where is it? The air. Yeah, take a deep breath. 80% of what you just sucked in is nitrogen gas. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's low power. Yeah, 80% of what you sucked in is nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas is odorless, it's colorless. We think of like, oh, it's oxygen all around us. It's nitrogen all around you. You don't sense it. Nitrogen in the atmosphere is in this form. It's an N2. It's two nitrogens that are double bonded together. Or triple bond, yeah, thanks. We'll build them later. But yeah, it's these two nitrogen molecules or atoms that are triple bonded to each other. It's a really difficult bond to break. There are a couple ways it can get broken. The most common way is, or not the most common, the most exciting way is lightning. Lightning has enough energy it can actually crack that triple bond. And it can allow that atmospheric nitrogen to break and become nitrates and nitrites. The second way is there's microbes. There's little bacteria in the soil that can do it too. In fact, these bacteria can go both directions. They can actually return some of this in the soil back to the atmosphere. But we should label these guys. These are called nitrogen fixing bacteria. There you go. Write them down. Label them. Nitrogen fixing bacteria because they fix the nitrogen. They take it from an insoluble form. Plants and animals cannot use the nitrogen that's all around us. The only organisms that can use that nitrogen are bacteria. And so it gets fixed into the soil. This is the reason why, you guys have heard of crop rotation, right?
No.
In the classes or whatever. So crop rotation is what? Yeah, if you do a monoculture, like you grow soybeans in one place every single year, pretty soon the soil's just going to be completely depleted of everything the soybeans need to grow. One of those things they need to grow is nitrogen, right? And so you need to usually switch between different types of species. A really classic one would be Native Americans, and the Americans figured this out. They grow corn one place and then, or 1 year, and then beans another year, and then squash, right? And they could get all three of those. And anyway, the beans actually specifically, beans are really good at returning nitrogen to the soil, so that way other plants can grow. So you want to mix things up. Fritz, however, his big contribution was with the nitrogen, all that atmospheric nitrogen. The N2 that was floating around, he was able to pass it over a catalyst. A catalyst is just something that lowers activation energy, lets the reaction happen quicker or more easily. He gave it a bunch of heat and pressure. And he was able to create ammonia. This was his big post-war contribution to the world. It's called not Fritz, I messed it up. His last name's Haber. Haber. And this other guy named Bosch. It's called the Haber-Bosch process. And it's the whole reason we're able to feed these billions of people. 80% of food with this fixed nitrogen, using either the Haber-Bosch process or modern equivalents to it. Put HB for Haber-Bosch. About 80% of the food out there is grown with the Haber-Bosch method to make nitrogen. If you ever buy anything in a grocery store, unless you're growing it from home with only organic fertilizers and stuff, you owe like a lot of your diet to this sort of fixed nitrogen. And even then, it's still probably some of it's derived from it, like a couple steps back, right? This allows us, if you go out to like the Great Plains and like Nebraska or something like that, you just see like thousands and thousands of square miles of just like soybeans or corn or wheat or whatever. You're able to grow the same thing year after year after year after year. Why? Because they can use artificial fertilizers, right? Really, really cheaply. You can literally make, this is like food. It's literally making the fertilizer to grow food from thin air, right? Which completely eliminated what they thought the population cap would be on humans back at like 2 billion or so. Anyway, his ability to hijack this nitrogen cycle and just put tons and tons of nitrogen in the soil allows us to grow all that food. Unfortunately, it goes back to Clara. She never even lived long enough to see her husband do this big invention. She was really, really upset with him. She was super unhappy. She was taking care of this child. She wasn't able to like professionally be fulfilled at all. Her husband was out like murdering people. She begged him to stay home, and he didn't. He went out to go supervise more gas attacks, and she committed suicide in his absence. So yeah, she died. It was pretty sad. The kid had to witness her death. She shot herself in the chest. The kid survived and had moved. I think he moved to America and had a kid of his own. Like, I think his descendants are still alive, actually. But yeah, it was rough. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go outside for a little bit. You can pause there on the notes, but pay attention up here. You're gonna keep your notebook out because I'm gonna draw a little. Here's the school. There's the school. Here's the park. Like there's like a little park strip there. Here's like a sidewalk. There's a parking lot. Oh really? You don't spell it that way? All right. Hey. Let's pay attention. There's 3 options for you. Option 1 is, I'm drawing so much of it. You can go to the lawn area. You can also do it up here. This is option number 1. There's a lawn area, there's lots of grass out there, there's like some trees, a few little trees here and there. Option number 2 is you can go outside. There's some deep foresty areas. It's like old growth style forest with big tall spruce trees. That's option number 2. Number 3 is the in-between stuff. So on this side of the parking lot, before you get into the thick forest area, you're going to see things like balsam poplar and vetch and other smaller things. Also over here you might see like willows, some other small trees. This area is what we're going to call like edge or new forest. That's option number 3. Okay, you don't have to go to all 3. In fact, don't go to all 3. You're only going to pick one of those. We're going to go out there and I want us to do a little bit of observation. You're going to draw and label. If you don't know the species name, that's totally fine. You can just say green furry thing, or dark green bushy plant, and then have a picture next to it. That's totally fine. If you you could ask around, maybe find some people that might know the name of it, but you're gonna have to get 10 species. They're almost all gonna be plants unless you find like a worm or an ant or a grasshopper or something like that. Humans don't count. We're not doing humans. Yeah, there might be a squirrel out there. But we're going to draw and label the 10 species of your area. One of these 3. Does that work?
Yep.
Cool. We got 15 minutes or so. We're going to spend about 10 of them outside. Let's grab your stuff. Let's head out.